You're going to face difficult financial decisions, and when you do, the 6 shortcuts in this video will make the complicated simple, helping you move forward with clarity and confidence. I call this first shortcut the big rocks principle. Imagine these rocks represent your mortgage, car payments, student loan debt, and credit cards. Then all your other spending gets piled on top of that. Obviously, in this case, saving a little bit of money on a cheaper brand of toilet paper isn't going to help you much. Simply stated, the big rocks principle is this. If your money situation is really bad, you're probably going to need to change something big. In my experience, most people with really bad financial situations are going to need to change at least one, but probably 2 or more big things. That means getting a higher income, either a better paying job or a second job, moving to a lower cost housing situation, driving cheaper vehicles, paying off debts. This big rocks principle is the only solution I've found for when things are beyond tight. But I've sat with people at their kitchen tables as they've realized that they needed to make those hard decisions, and knowing that small changes won't fix the big problems empowers them to make the challenging moves. This shortcut is great for when things are really tight. If and when you have the opposite problem, more money than you know how to handle, stay tuned for our final shortcut. The second shortcut to better, quicker money decisions I call Magic Undo. Magic Undo is a great approach for defeating all kinds of cognitive biases. It helps with sunk cost fallacy, confirmation bias, the IKEA effect, loss aversion, the commitment effect, and just generally our tendency to stick with the status quo and avoid making decisions. The way it works is like this. You imagine you've already made the decision. As an example, you own stock in your employer and you're trying to decide whether to sell it. So you imagine you already have. In this case, you've sold the stock, you have cash in hand. Then a witch or wizard comes along and offers you a free magic undo spell. Would you take it? Having thousands of dollars cash in hand, would you then choose to invest it in the company you work for? If not, that's a pretty good indicator on whether you should sell the stock. Considering effectively the same decision but from the opposite direction unlocks your brain. All of a sudden you can get past all the hangups. Some of them maybe even turn in favor of the change. This can quickly make hard decisions where you feel stuck on the fence become so clear. If you're kind of in favor of a decision and you know that you'd never take the magic undo spell, it's time to go ahead. If, however, you know that you'd jump on that magic undo as soon as it was offered, you probably don't need to continue stressing. Don't go that way. Ever wonder whether you can afford something, how to sort through complicated investment options, or if it makes sense to take an opportunity that looks exciting but also scary? Good news, because our next few shortcuts will simplify all of that. For whether or not you can afford something, try shortcut number 3. Margin is the only number that matters. The only number that determines whether you're going to get richer or poorer is your margin. If you bring home $1,000 and spend $999, you have $1 left over. If your margin is tight, you can't afford extra spending. The trip to McDonald's might only cost you $20, but if you only have $40 left over at the end of each month, it's using up 50% of your limited margin, and so probably not a good idea. On the other hand, if you're saving and investing thousands of dollars every month, you don't need to stress out about going to McDonald's once a month because that $20 purchase is less than 1% of your monthly margin, and you won't notice the difference. 2 quick caveats before I go on to make investing simple. 1, I'm not talking about comparing your monthly payments to your margin. That is a classic blunder. And 2, I found it most helpful to compare the cost of the pattern rather than the cost of the individual purchase. In other words, McDonald's once a month has a $20 impact to your monthly margin. McDonald's daily has a $600 impact. Shortcut number 4, just buy VT. Investing is stupid simple. This meme sums it up. I'm not going to tell you how you should invest, but what I do is regularly buy as much VT as I feel comfortable buying. This is an index fund that buys from across the entire public stock market anywhere in the world. I use tax-advantaged accounts for investments when they're available. From my perspective, it's better to have investments growing in a 401k or an IRA, but if I've maxed out those contributions, I keep investing into taxable accounts. I keep an emergency fund and a high-interest savings account. I keep low-interest rate mortgage debt and pay off expensive mortgage debt. For regular humans, the mix between investments, cash, and low-interest mortgage is how you determine how much leverage you have on market returns. I'm comfortable with a little bit, so I keep a low-interest rate mortgage, and I don't hold too much cash. And then I avoid checking the market or selling investments unless I absolutely need to. Stupid simple. But this is after a lot of study, reflection, and some master's level courses. If your investing is more complicated than this, then I think it needs to have a good reason to be. Maybe someday I'll make a video explaining all the logic for why. So if that sounds interesting, subscribe. Also, if anything in this video is helpful to you, please hit like so that YouTube and I know what you find useful. Shortcut number 5, Old Man David. You can use your own name. Also called regret minimization. I ask myself, what would future me wish that I had done? Future me wants to be healthy, so I exercise. Future me wants to have plenty of money, so I save. But future me also wants to have strong relationships with his kids and grandkids and great memories, so I try not to let my efforts around money get in the way of building a strong family. My future self wants to know how this whole YouTube thing would have gone, so here I am. For this one to work well, you need to really get to know and care about your future self. The point isn't to generically ask what an old person would want. It's to make the trade-offs that would matter most to your most authentic self with the benefit of hindsight, taking into account all the risks and potential payoffs as you currently understand them. To get to know your future self, spend time with them. A quiet session, imagining being yourself down the line, is going to go a long way towards clarifying the decisions that you're making right now. And as promised, my final shortcut to great money decisions, especially when they feel hard, the one for when you have more money than you know what to do with. I'm calling this one Thousandaire, but what I repeat in my mind is thousands are hard to come by. This is the counterpoint to the shortcut that margin is the only number that matters, which is that as you start to make, save, and invest more and more money, you need some kind of rule to stay grounded in the value of money. As I started to get more and more money piling up in my accounts, I realized something strange. I could buy all sorts of things. All of a sudden, the reason I wasn't buying the shiny new toy wasn't because I didn't have enough money in my account. I did. And it couldn't be just because I didn't want it. There are a lot of things I want. But I don't want to own all that stuff, and I don't want to just spend until I don't have savings anymore. So I made up a rule to remind myself that just because I had the money didn't mean I had to spend it. Because I wanted to be a millionaire, I realized that a million is 1,000 thousands. And even with a pretty hefty savings rate, it wouldn't take a lot of $1,000 decisions to throw off the plan. Hence the repeated refrain, thousands are hard to come by. Particularly when you're negotiating something large like the purchase or sale of a house or car, it's easy to become numb to the difference between $358,000 and $359,000. But overpaying for a house or car by $1,000 costs you as much as paying $10 a dozen for eggs every week for the next 2 years. For smaller purchases like those eggs, I apply a bit of a universalizing principle as well. Would this decision, made consistently under the rules I'm currently using, eventually cost me $1,000? If so, I shouldn't take setting the rules too lightly, because I want to collect millions, and each one is going to take a lot of thousands. And so, each one of those thousands is worthy of attention. Your particular refrain may be different. It might be something like $100 is a lot of money. Or if you're a lot richer than I am, maybe $100,000 is more than the median household income in the US. Whatever it is, you need to have some refrain that you use to ground yourself and remind yourself not to spend the money just because it's in your account. Or if you are going to spend it, that it needs to go to a worthy purpose. You're collecting for the future, it didn't come easily, and you need to respect how hard it would be to replace that money and how much good the savings can do. Thousands are hard to come by. Now, don't get fooled by one of the most prevalent money traps out there. It might be one of the decisions you're currently considering, and so if you want to know why you should reject passive income, check out this video. Also, if you like getting better at money, subscribe because I'm publishing new videos every week. And if you like this video, again, please click like so that the YouTube algorithm and I can know and give you more of what you like.